Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Jennifer and I will be talking about my unpopular, biased opinion about Eragon today. Book review. Eragon. I am so excited to talk about this book because I know that my opinions are going to be very different from the other book reviews I've seen on YouTube about this. This is a spoiler-free review up until I give my rating, and then after that, if you want to stick around, I'm going to be discussing the book more in depth, and then there will be spoilers for that. It is about a 16-year-old boy who accidentally discovers a mysterious blue stone, and this leads to a series of events that changes his life forever. So a few things of note at the beginning of the story. He lives in a world where dragon riders used to exist, but they have since gone extinct, and magic is more of a myth to them. And the other races that exist in the world are also more of a legend than an active part of everyday life. They have kind of shunned humanity. If you love dragons, world building similar to Lord of the Rings, an interesting magic system, lots of epic battles, then this story is for you. So going back to Christopher Paolini's age, unfortunately because he was so young when he wrote this story, there's a lot of complaints about his writing style and about the story in general. I completely disagree with all of them. I disagree because when I was in 5th grade reading the story for the first time, I had nothing else to compare it to. And I did not feel like it was unoriginal at all because I had not read the other stories, the other fantasy epics that Eragon is meant to emulate. What else? People have complained about the writing style, that the characters and relationships seem contrived and superficial. I've heard people say that there's too much there's too much telling and not enough showing. I completely disagree. I've reread this book 8 times. Yes, 8 times by now, and I never felt that way. If anything, the characters and the relationship are things that I truly enjoyed in the story. I did not think that anything was contrived at all. I liked Eragon as the main character. I think that he's pretty relatable, especially for a younger person. And I also appreciated that he didn't have too much plot armor as the main character. You see him go through a lot. He starts out knowing nothing, and at the end of the story there's so much expected of him, and you see him suffer, get hurt, lose along the way. So I think that by the way things turn out at the end of the story, it does feel really earned. I also liked his writing style. When Christopher Paolini describes Alagasia, which is the continent that the story takes place on, I really felt like I was there. It felt beautiful, and I think that complaining about unoriginality and writing style from such a young author at the time that it was published really discredits what matters the most about it, that it was a gateway for a lot of young readers such as myself who were discovering fantasy. It's a really great book to give to someone in middle school, or give it to your kid when you think they're at that age where they're ready to start reading something more. So, was it the best book ever written? No. But was it the best book for me as a 5th grader who is discovering her love of reading and books? Absolutely. So for that, it gets my very unpopular, biased opinion rating of 10 out of 10. So now that I've given my rating, I'm going to be getting into spoilers. So this is your final warning. Please click away now if you haven't read it or if you don't want any spoilers. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. For those of you who are staying to hang out for a little bit longer, there's a few things I want to get into. And the first thing is the movie adaptation. This isn't a movie review, but I do remember when I watched the movie, I was really upset and angry because it just didn't feel like a good adaptation. For example, in the movie, they made a really big deal out of something that I felt like they just made up. So, when a dragon and a rider are bonded, it is for life, and there's a lot of benefits to it. So the dragon rider, whether they're an elf or a human, their life is prolonged indefinitely, and dragons have indefinite lifespans just because of their magical nature, right? Except for if they're killed in battle, die from disease, or in a dragon's case, if their dragon rider dies, the dragon just automatically dies because of that. I didn't think that existed in the literature, in the book, but when I went back and reread it for the 8th time recently, I found it. I found it in like chapter 3 or something when Braum is giving the info dump to Eragon explaining what the dragon riders are. I was really shocked because I was so upset at the movie for a long time because I thought they made that up when in fact it was in the book. So that was a little bit annoying because in the movie they made a really big deal out of it. It was a recurring thing, especially at the end of the movie in the final battle in the mountain. They made it look like Saphira was gonna die and she was gonna sacrifice herself for Eragon because she loves him and also because she's gonna die without him anyways. In the book, they just mention it in passing and then it never comes up again. So I thought that was weird, but that's the only negative thing I really have to rant about. The positives are I really like the relationships and the characters. I loved Angela and her weircat Solumbum. I love how quirky and weird she was and how enigmatic Solumbum was, which is the nature of the race of weircats, I guess. And I also thought that it was really interesting that Christopher Paolini made the choice to have a prophecy in the first book. I remember when I first read it, I thought it was both really cool and really lame at the same time. I'm really curious as to whether he wrote that prophecy into the first book with the end goal of the story in mind already, or if he had to come up with things along the way. I thought that was interesting. I also really loved Arya. I thought she was so cool. Not only that she's described as beautiful, but because of how powerful she is as a female character. She's physically strong, she is gifted with a lot of magic, and also she just goes through so much. I loved seeing a female character going through so much suffering for what she believes in. I really like how she was more of a friend than a love interest to Eragon. Of course he's obsessed with her from the start, but she is also her own entity aside from him as the main character. Thank you for watching through the whole video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Say bye. Bye bye.